Tuesday. I was reviewing quarterly reports for my property portfolio when my phone lit up with the family group chat notification. Aunt Patricia's message sat there in bold letters, pinned to the top by my cousin Derek. Family Christmas will be at Riverside Estates this year. Formal attire. Adults only. Sophia, this means you're not invited. We need people who won't embarrass us in front of the right crowd. 12 responses came within minutes. Uncle James with a thumbs up. My mother with, finally, a classy Christmas. Cousin Derek with 3 laughing emojis. Sister Rebecca, thank God. She'd probably show up in jeans. I set my phone down carefully next to my coffee. The ceramic mug was warm against my palm. Outside my office window, downtown stretched out 23 floors below. The same view I'd had for 6 years as CEO of Martinez Property Group. The same view I'd fought for while my family called me, confused about my place in life. For 15 years I'd been the family disappointment. The one who wasted her finance degree on playing with buildings, instead of marrying well like Rebecca. The one who wore inappropriate blazers to family dinners instead of the floral dresses my mother preferred. The one who talked about boring business things, instead of discussing whose children were getting into which private schools. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Patricia in the group chat. We've already paid the $8,500 deposit. Non-refundable. This will be the Christmas the Martinez family deserves. I picked up my office phone. My assistant answered on the first ring. Connect me with James Chin at Riverside Estates. Your property manager? Of course, Ms. Martinez. The irony wasn't lost on me. Riverside Estates, the crown jewel of my portfolio. I'd purchased it 4 years ago when the previous owners defaulted on their commercial loan. 42 acres of manicured grounds, a 20,000 square foot main building, capacity for 500 guests. Market value, $4.2 million. I'd paid $2.8 million cash and spent another $600,000 on renovations. My family had no idea. James picked up. Sophia. I saw the booking request from a Patricia Martinez come through yesterday. I was going to call you. Same last name, I thought maybe family. It is family. Pull up the reservation details. The sound of keyboard clicking came through the line. December 25th, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. 50 guests. Premium bar package, full catering from Lawrence, white glove service. Total contract value, $32,000. They've paid the deposit, balance due December 1st. I looked at the group chat again. My cousin Melissa had just posted. So glad we don't have to pretend to be nice to Sophia this year. She never fit in anyway. There's a psychological concept called the spotlight effect. The tendency to overestimate how much others notice about us. My family had spent 15 years treating me like I was under a spotlight of failure. Every business decision I made was risky. Every property I acquired was another waste of money. Every success I achieved was luck, or the wrong kind of success. What they never noticed was that I'd stopped seeking their spotlight entirely. I'd built my own stage. James, I need you to send an automated cancellation notice. Standard template. Property owner reserves the right to refuse service. Cite the clause about events that exclude property ownership from attendance. You want me to cancel your aunt's Christmas? I want you to enforce the policy I established when I bought this property. No events that exclude me from my own venue. It's in the standard contract, Section 7, Paragraph 3. They signed it. Silence on the other end. Then, you know what? I remember adding that clause when you bought the place. You said it was for situations exactly like this. Pull the trigger. Done. Automated email goes out in 60 seconds. Deposit is forfeit per cancellation terms. Initiated by violation of attendance policy. I'll mark the date as unavailable. I thanked him and hung up. My coffee had gone cold. I didn't drink it. The thing about family dynamics is they're built on a foundation of assumed power structures. For 15 years my family's structure had been simple. They were the successful ones who'd married doctors and lawyers and produced grandchildren. I was the oddball who'd chosen career over family, which in their eyes made me both pitiable and contemptible. But power structures only work when both parties accept them. 53 seconds after I hung up with James, my phone exploded. Aunt Patricia called first. I let it go to voicemail. Then Uncle James. Voicemail. My mother called 3 times in 90 seconds. All voicemail. The group chat became a war zone of confusion and rage. Patricia. My reservation was cancelled. Deposit gone. This is unacceptable. Derek. Can you rebook somewhere else? Patricia. Every venue is booked for Christmas. I called 4 places already. Mother. This is a disaster. Who cancels Christmas? Rebecca. Maybe we can do it at someone's house? Patricia. I invited the Hendersons, the Wainwrights, and Charles Prescott from the yacht club. I can't have them at someone's house. I opened my laptop and pulled up the reservation system. James had already updated the notes. Cancellation, owner exclusion clause violated. Guest attempted to book venue while specifically excluding property owner from event. Deposit forfeited, $8,500. Date blocked for personal use. My phone rang again. This time a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Ms. Martinez? A woman's voice, professional but warm. This is Caroline Hendricks from Riverside Estates. I know who you are, Caroline. You're the events coordinator James hired last year. Oh, yes. I'm so sorry to bother you, but there's a woman here at the venue. A Patricia Martinez? She's demanding to speak with management about a cancellation. She's quite upset. She says she's your aunt and that this is all a misunderstanding. Through the phone, I could hear Aunt Patricia's voice in the background. I demand to speak to whoever owns this place. This is unacceptable. Do you know who we are? Put her on speaker, Caroline. And please record this for liability purposes. You're on speaker, Ms. Martinez. Who is this? Aunt Patricia's voice filled my office. I'm trying to plan a family Christmas, and your incompetent staff canceled my reservation. This is Sophia Martinez. I own Riverside Estates. I'm also the family member you specifically excluded from the family Christmas you're planning at my venue. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear someone's breathing. What? Aunt Patricia's voice had dropped to barely a whisper. I purchased Riverside Estates in October 2020 for $2.8 million. I've owned it for 4 years. You booked my property for a family event and specifically excluded me from attending. Section 7, Paragraph 3 of your contract states that any event that excludes the property owner from attendance will result in immediate cancellation with forfeiture of all deposits. You signed that contract. You own this place? I own 7 commercial properties in this county. Riverside Estates is one of them. The others include the office building where Derek works, the shopping plaza where Rebecca gets her hair done, and the apartment complex where Uncle James lives. I have a portfolio value of $22 million. I didn't mention this at family dinners because I was too busy listening to lectures about how I was wasting my life. Caroline's voice came back on. Ms. Martinez, should I proceed with the escorted exit? Yes. And Caroline? Block all future booking attempts from anyone in my immediate family. They can submit written requests to my legal team if they'd like to rent my properties, subject to standard approval and the attendance clause. Understood. Mrs. Martinez, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the property now. The ghost ledger doesn't show up on any balance sheet, but every person who's been systematically diminished by their family knows it exists. It's the accounting of emotional debts that can never be collected in dollars. Entry 1. 15 years of Christmas dinners where my business successes were met with, "That's nice, dear," while Derek's promotion to regional sales manager got champagne toasts. Cost. Self-worth unquantifiable. Entry 2. The Thanksgiving when I mentioned purchasing my 3rd property and my mother said, "When are you going to focus on finding a husband instead of these silly investments?" Cost. The belief that my achievements mattered to the people who raised me. Entry 3. Every wedding, every baby shower, every family gathering where I was introduced as Sophia, she's in real estate with the same tone others might say, Sophia, she collects bottle caps. Cost. Dignity 73 separate occasions. Entry 4. The family reunion where Aunt Patricia told the Prescotts, the same people she wanted at Christmas, that I was still trying to figure out what to do with her life. I was 34. I just closed a $1.9 million deal. Cost. Credibility with people whose opinions I didn't even want. The ledger's balance was simple. They owed me recognition I'd never demanded. Payment came due the moment they needed something I owned. My mother called again. This time I answered. Sophia, what have you done? I enforced a contract. Patricia is hysterical. She's telling everyone you humiliated her. She drove to that venue thinking she could fix this in person, and they escorted her out. She humiliated herself by booking my property for an event I wasn't invited to. Your property? Since when do you own? Since 2020, Mom. I've owned it for 4 years. Before that, I owned 6 other commercial properties. I have 17 residential rental units. I employ 43 people across my holdings. I generate $2.1 million in annual revenue. And none of you noticed because you were too busy telling me I was wasting my potential. Silence. I don't understand. I know you don't. That's the problem. I hung up before she could respond. The procedural justice system moves slowly, but it moves with precision. That's what makes it satisfying. Each step documented, each consequence inevitable, each appeal denied not through cruelty but through the simple application of rules everyone agreed to follow. Step 1. Contract enforcement. Completed at 10:32 a.m. Deposit forfeited, $8,500. Step 2. Property access restrictions. Completed at 11:15 a.m. All family member names flagged in the booking system. Future rental requests require written application and legal review. Step 3. Documentation distribution. I forwarded the cancellation notice and contract to every family member in the group chat at 11:47 a.m. Subject line: regarding Christmas plans. Step 4. Attorney consultation. At 2 p.m. I met with my corporate counsel. We reviewed potential defamation concerns if family members started spreading false information about my business practices. Standard cease and desist letters were prepared, ready to send if necessary. Step 5. Portfolio review. I had my property managers pull reports on every property connection to my family. Derek's office building lease was up for renewal in March. Uncle James's apartment complex was undergoing market rate adjustments. Rebecca's salon was in a plaza where I owned 40% equity. Knowledge is leverage. Step 6. Communication boundaries. I left the family group chat at 4:30 p.m. Before I did, I posted one message. I'm available for genuine conversations about rebuilding family relationships based on mutual respect. I'm not available for dramatics about Christmas venue cancellations. You have my direct number. Step 7. Alternative planning. I called my actual family, the chosen kind. My best friend Maria, who'd celebrated every property closing with me. My mentor Robert, who'd believed in me when banks wouldn't. My assistant Jenny, who'd worked overtime on every deal. I booked Riverside Estates for December 25th under my name. Intimate dinner for 8. The people who'd actually shown up for my life. The group chat continued without me. I know because several people screenshot it and sent it to me. Aunt Patricia was demanding I be more reasonable. Derek called me spiteful. Rebecca suggested I was having a breakdown and needed intervention. My mother posted a long message about family loyalty and forgiveness that conveniently forgot every time they dismissed my accomplishments. But the 3 people who mattered most stayed quiet in the chat. Uncle Richard, Cousin Anna, and my grandmother. They each called me privately. Uncle Richard, I always knew you were doing well. I'm sorry I didn't speak up more. Cousin Anna, I stopped coming to family events 2 years ago. Now I know you understand why. My grandmother, 92 and sharp as ever. Mija, I'm proud of you. Always have been. Can I come to your Christmas dinner? I said yes to all 3. 6 months have passed. Aunt Patricia never rebooked her Christmas. The family gathered at her house instead. 32 people crammed into a space meant for 15. I heard it was chaos. I heard Derek's office lease wasn't renewed. The new tenants pay market rate, $4,200 more per month. I heard my mother asks about me now carefully through Uncle Richard. Whether I'm well. Whether I'd consider coming to Easter. I heard Rebecca tried to book Riverside Estates for her daughter's sweet 16. The request was denied. My Christmas was perfect. 8 people, 5 courses, 4 hours of genuine conversation. Maria gave a toast about chosen family. Robert told stories about my first terrified property showing. Jenny reminded everyone about the time I negotiated a deal while having food poisoning, closing it from a hospital bed. My grandmother held my hand during dessert. You know what's funny? She said. What, abuela? They thought they were inviting the right people to Christmas. The Hendersons, the Wainwrights, all those important names. He squeezed my fingers. But the most successful Martinez was already in the family. They just never bothered to look. The bill for Christmas dinner at my venue. $4,200 paid to myself. The look on Aunt Patricia's face when Caroline escorted her out. Priceless. The knowledge that I'd built something they couldn't take away. Worth every ignored achievement, every dismissive comment, every year of being treated like the family failure. I get emails sometimes forwarded from the Riverside Estates booking system. Requests from family members for various events. Weddings, anniversaries, graduations. Each one comes with a note now. Would Sophia be welcome to attend? Some I approve. Uncle Richard's retirement party. Cousin Anna's engagement celebration. My grandmother's 93rd birthday. Some I deny. No explanation needed beyond the attendance clause. And Aunt Patricia? She emails once a month. Always the same subject line. Reconsider. Always the same message. This family feud is getting ridiculous. I never respond. There is no feud. A feud requires two parties fighting. This is simply a correction in the power structure. The one where they assumed control over property they never owned, over a Christmas they couldn't exclude me from, over a narrative about my life they had no right to write. They wanted an elegant Christmas at Riverside Estates. They got a lesson in reading contracts instead. And I got my family dinner exactly where it belonged. At my table in my venue with my people on my terms. Filled with the pre-work rush of professionals grabbing lattes before heading to their offices. My sister Audrey sat across from me, her new engagement ring catching the light every time she gestured. Which was often. So I wanted to talk to you about the engagement party, she began, her tone carrying that careful quality that meant she'd rehearsed this conversation. I'm Kennedy Wallace, 27 years old, and according to my family, I'm the sister who never quite found her path. While Audrey climbed the corporate ladder at a marketing firm and my brother Julian worked in investment banking, I'd been doing freelance consulting. Their words creating an image of instability and struggle. The reality was different. I'm the founder and CEO of Wallace Strategic Solutions, a procurement and supply chain optimization firm serving mid-sized manufacturers across the Midwest. We manage $180 million in annual supplier contracts for our clients, generating $12 million in revenue through our optimization services. And one of our clients was about to become very relevant to this conversation. The engagement party, I prompted, taking a sip of my coffee. Yes. So, Garrett and I have been planning it and we want it to be really special. Just close friends and professional contacts. People who've been important to our journey, people who represent the life we're building together. Garrett Morrison. Audrey's fiancé of 3 weeks. Senior account manager at Morrison & Associates, a logistics consulting firm. I knew them well. They'd been one of my company's suppliers for 18 months, handling freight optimization for 3 of my manufacturing clients. That sounds lovely, I said. The thing is. Audrey twisted her ring nervously. Kennedy, you know I love you. But Garrett's inviting colleagues, potential clients, people who could be important to his career. And Mom and I were talking and we think it might be better if you didn't come to the party. I set down my coffee carefully. You're disinviting me from your engagement party. Not disinviting. We're just being selective about the guest list. It's not personal. It's just that Garrett's building his reputation and the optics matter. Everyone there will be successful, established professionals. Lawyers, consultants, executives. And you're freelance consulting, I finished. Unsuccessful. Unstable. An embarrassment. That's not what I said, Audrey protested, but her face flushed. It's just that people will ask what you do, and freelance consulting sounds like unemployment with a better title. We don't want questions about why you're there, why you're not doing better, whether you need help finding a real job. I see. Mom agrees it's for the best, Audrey continued. She said you'd understand. You've always been understanding about these things. And it's just one party. You'll still be at the wedding, of course. This is just the professional networking event. The engagement party is a professional networking event, I repeated. For Garrett, yes. His boss will be there, potential clients, industry contacts. It's really important for his career. And having to explain why his future sister-in-law is underemployed would just create awkward conversations. My phone sat on the table between us. One call to my procurement director, Jennifer Martinez, and I could end Morrison and Associates contracts with Wallace Strategic Solutions. $2.1 million in annual business gone. 3 clients who relied on their freight optimization moved to competitors. But that would be petty. Vindictive. Using my business leverage to punish family for their ignorance. Then again, they were using their assumptions about my business to exclude me from family events. Have you told Mom you're doing this? I asked. I called her this morning. He completely agrees. She actually suggested it. She said it would be uncomfortable for everyone, for you to be there around all these successful people, for us to have to explain your situation, for Garrett's colleagues to wonder why we invited someone who hasn't gotten their career together. My situation, I echoed. Kennedy, please don't make this harder than it is. You have to understand, Garrett's career is taking off. He just got promoted to senior account manager. His firm is growing. This party is crucial for making the right impression. And I would ruin that impression. You'd complicate it, Audrey said carefully. Look, when you get your career sorted out, when you land a real position somewhere, we'll celebrate that. But right now at this moment it's better if you sit this one out. I picked up my phone. When is the party? Saturday night. But Kennedy, you're not listening. I heard you perfectly. You're disinviting me because you're embarrassed by my career. Or lack thereof in your opinion. I knew you'd be hurt, Audrey sighed. But you have to see this from our perspective. Garrett works so hard and this party is his chance to shine. We can't have anything diminish that. I opened my contacts, found Jennifer's number. I need to make a call. Do you mind? No. We're in the middle of. I was already dialing. Jennifer answered on the second ring. Kennedy, good morning. What's up? I need you to terminate our contracts with Morrison and Associates. All 3 client accounts. Effective immediately. Silence. Then, Morrison and Associates? The logistics firm? Kennedy, they handle freight optimization for our 3 largest manufacturing clients. That's $2.1 million in annual contract value they manage for us. I'm aware. Terminate the contracts. Standard 30-day notice as per our agreements. Start identifying replacement suppliers today. Can I ask why? Has there been a performance issue I'm not aware of? Personal conflict of interest. I'll explain later. Just get the termination notices sent this morning. You're sure about this? Completely sure. Hey. I'll draft the notices now and send them within the hour. Should I copy you? Yes. And Jennifer? Make sure the notice goes to Garrett Morrison specifically. He's the senior account manager handling our accounts. Got it. Anything else? That's all. Thanks. I hung up. Audrey was staring at me with confusion. What was that about? Work, I said simply. Now where were we? Oh yes, you were explaining why I'm not successful enough to attend your engagement party. Kennedy, don't be dramatic. This isn't about success. It's about fit. It's about. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Termination notices drafted and sent. Morrison and Associates will receive them in approximately 15 minutes. Garrett Morrison is listed as primary contact on all 3 accounts. He'll get the emails directly. I texted back. Perfect. Begin supplier replacement process. I want alternatives identified by end of week. Jennifer, already on it. For the record, this is going to cost Morrison and Associates roughly 40% of their current book of business. They're going to feel this. I'm aware, I typed. Audrey was still talking. And Garrett's boss will be there, and we just thought it would be easier if we didn't have to field questions about family members who haven't quite established themselves professionally. You understand, right? I understand that you think I'm a failure, I said. I understand that you're embarrassed by me. I understand that you value Garrett's professional reputation more than your relationship with your sister. That's not fair. What's not fair is making assumptions about someone's career without bothering to ask questions. What's not fair is excluding family from important events because they don't meet your standards of success. What's not fair is deciding someone's worth based on your perception of their employment status. Audrey's phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. And again. She glanced at it, frowning. That's Garrett. He's calling. You should probably answer it. She accepted the call. Hey honey, I'm still with Kennedy. Can I call you back? What? Slow down, I can't. What contract? What are you talking about? I sipped my coffee and waited. Wallace Strategic Solutions? Audrey repeated, her eyes finding mine across the table. What about them? They terminated what? All 3 accounts? But Garrett, that's your biggest client. That's 40% of your book. How can they just... She listened, her face going progressively paler. Effective immediately? But there must be some mistake. They can't just cancel $2 million in contracts without cause. There has to be. What do you mean the notice says personal conflict of interest? What personal conflict? I watched her process it. Watched the pieces click into place. Watched her eyes widen as she looked at her phone screen, then at me, then back at her phone. Garrett, I need to call you back, she said quietly. Yes, I'm sure. I'll call you in 5 minutes. She hung up and stared at me. Wallace Strategic Solutions. That's your company. That's my company, I confirmed. Founded 5 years ago. We specialize in procurement and supply chain optimization for mid-sized manufacturers. Annual revenue last year was $11.7 million, projected to hit $14 million this year. We manage $180 million in supplier contracts on behalf of our clients. You own Wallace Strategic Solutions, she repeated numbly. I own it, I built it, and I run it. And Morrison & Associates has been one of our suppliers for 18 months. They've done good work for us, managing freight optimization across 3 of our client accounts. That's $2.1 million in annual contract value. Had, Audrey whispered. You said they had been one of your suppliers. Past tense, yes. As of about 10 minutes ago, we terminated all 3 contracts. Standard 30-day notice. We'll transition to alternative suppliers over the next month. Because of the engagement party. Because I disinvited you. Because you decided my career wasn't successful enough to be associated with your fiancé's professional network. I'm simply agreeing with that assessment and removing the professional association entirely. Audrey's phone was ringing again. Garrett. She declined the call. Kennedy, you can't do this. Garrett said Morrison & Associates gets 40% of their revenue from your contracts. This will destroy his numbers. His boss will blame him. He could lose his promotion, maybe even his job. That's unfortunate, I said. But I have to act in the best interests of my company. And continuing to do business with a supplier whose senior account manager is about to be my brother-in-law, when that brother-in-law's family has made it clear they're embarrassed by my professional status. That's a conflict of interest I can't ignore. This is revenge. You're punishing Garrett because I disinvited you. I'm protecting my business from a conflict of interest. If your fiancé's career prospects are damaged because he just lost a major client, well, that's just business. I'm sure you understand. After all, you understand that professional reputation matters, that optics are important, that sometimes personal relationships have to take a back seat to career success. I was using her own words and we both knew it. Please, Audrey said, and now there were tears forming. Please don't do this. Garrett has worked so hard. This promotion means everything to him. If he loses these accounts, he'll learn an important lesson about not letting family members make business decisions based on incomplete information. He'll learn to verify assumptions before acting on them. He'll learn that the unsuccessful sister-in-law might actually control more business than he realized. Her phone rang again. This time she answered. Garrett, I know. I'm talking to her now. Yes, it's my sister. Kennedy is. She owns Wallace Strategic Solutions. Pause. No, I didn't know. Nobody knew. She never told us she had. Yes, it's definitely because of the party. I'll try to fix it. Just give me. I stood up, gathering my bag. Tell Garrett that the decision is final. The termination notices have been sent, and we're already identifying replacement suppliers. If he wants to understand why, he can ask his fiancée to explain how she evaluates professional success. Kennedy, wait. I have a meeting with a new client in 20 minutes. Major manufacturing firm looking to optimize their entire supply chain. Could be worth $3 million in new contract management fees. You know, the kind of professional success that might be worthy of attending an engagement party. I walked out of the coffee shop, leaving my sister with her phone and her tears and the reality that the family failure she'd been embarrassed by actually controlled a significant portion of her fiancé's career prospects. My phone rang as I reached my car. Kennedy Marie Wallace, what have you done? Audrey just called me in hysterics. She says you canceled Garrett's biggest contracts because she disinvited you from the party. Tell me that's not true. It's not true, I said calmly. I didn't cancel Garrett's contracts because Audrey disinvited me. I canceled Wallace Strategic Solutions contracts with Morrison and Associates because continuing to do business with them represents a conflict of interest. That's semantics. That's business, Mom. You and Audrey decided I wasn't successful enough to be seen at a professional networking event. I'm simply agreeing with your assessment and removing the professional relationship that might have suggested otherwise. You're being petty and vindictive. This is family. Family that decided I was an embarrassment. Family that made business decisions, specifically excluding me from a business-focused event, based on assumptions about my career. I'm making a business decision in response. Seems fair. Garrett could lose his job over this. Then he should have asked more questions before letting his fiancée disinvite his biggest client CEO from family events. Due diligence matters in business, Mom. This is an expensive lesson in that principle. I could hear her breathing, could imagine her trying to find the right words to fix this. What do you want? She asked finally. What will it take to undo this? I want my family to stop assuming I'm unsuccessful because my career doesn't look like Julian's banking job or Audrey's marketing position. I want you to stop being embarrassed by me without bothering to understand what I actually do. I want to be valued for who I am, not dismissed for who you assume I'm not. We can do that, Mom said quickly. We'll apologize, we'll include you in the party, whatever you want. Just reinstate the contracts. The contracts are terminated. I've already begun the supplier replacement process. That decision is final regardless of whether I'm invited to the engagement party. Then this is just revenge. This is consequences, Mom. For years you've all treated my career like a joke. Like something to be hidden or explained away. You never asked what I actually do, what I've built, whether I'm successful. You just assumed failure and acted accordingly. Now you're learning that your assumptions were wrong and that those assumptions have costs. So you're going to ruin Garrett's career to make a point. I'm going to run my business according to sound principles, which includes avoiding conflicts of interest with suppliers whose families view my company as something to be ashamed of. If that impacts Garrett's career, that's unfortunate. But that's business. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then, you've really built a $12 million company? We'll hit $14 million this year if projections hold. And yes, I really built it. 5 years ago, starting with 2 clients and a lot of determination. Now we serve 15 manufacturing firms across 6 states. Why didn't you tell us? Because every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject or offered advice about finding a real job. Eventually, I stopped trying to convince you and just focused on building the business. And now you're using that business to hurt your family. No, Mom. I'm protecting that business from a family that couldn't see its value until it affected them personally. There's a difference. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, Audrey texted, Garrett's boss wants a meeting tomorrow. They're panicking about losing the Wallace accounts. Please reconsider. I'm sorry for disinviting you. I was wrong about everything. I typed back, I accept your apology. And you're still welcome at my office if you ever want to understand what I actually do. But the business decision stands. I need suppliers I can trust, and I can't trust a firm whose account manager is marrying into a family that's embarrassed by my success. The engagement party happened on Saturday. I didn't attend, not because I wasn't invited, but because Audrey had called to say they'd postponed it indefinitely. Garrett's boss had put him on a performance improvement plan after losing the Wallace accounts. The celebration didn't feel appropriate. Instead, I spent Saturday closing a deal with that new manufacturing client. $3.2 million in annual contract management fees. Brought our projected revenue for the year to $15.8 million. Success, it turns out, doesn't require an audience. It just requires focus, determination, and the willingness to walk away from people who can't see your worth. Even when those people are family. Especially when those people are family.